Welcome, welcome, welcome. I still call myself Dr. Arnold Nerenberg, and I was licensed to practice clinical psychology in the state of California in 1974. I was licensed to walk upon this earth in 1941. Now, that license was my birth certificate, so I'll be 83 in a few months, 3 months. And it's really my pleasure, my enjoyment, my privilege to be here with you, to have the opportunity to present to you insights, lessons, and opportunities of a lifetime with the idea of uplifting you and your loved ones for the rest of your lives. That is truly and sincerely my intention this evening. The title of today's presentation is Highly Dangerous to Not Know These 5 Facts. It's highly dangerous to not know these 5 facts. I keep repeating this, but it's so important. It is highly dangerous to not know these 5 facts. No one ever told you. No one ever told you. It's amazing. No one told you. No one told me. That's why I'm telling you. Fact number 1. You have the right to be who you truly are. You have the right, a God-given right, to be who you truly are, as long as the expression of yourself is done in a respectfully real manner. Most of us, believe it or not, grow up thinking we have to be somebody else. Well, whatever I am, it's not good enough. I have to be like him. I have to be like her. And it doesn't work out. You are you. You are you. I'm me. You be you, I be me. We have the right to have that. Now, as fundamental as that sounds, no one ever told you that. I know nobody ever told you that. I know no one ever told you that. Ever, unless you come to my other lectures where I've mentioned it before. You have the right to be who you truly are, as long as the expression of your true self is done in a respectfully real manner. If you're getting some awful thoughts about somebody, you don't have the right to just violate people. But as long as it's done in a respectfully real manner, you have the right to be you, to be authentic, to be genuine. That is your God-given right. That's enormous. That is an enormous right. And I know for a fact that no one ever told you that you have that right. I'm here to tell you that. Now, no one ever told you that there are 2 basic tribes of people, 2 different types, the deeps and the chats. Now, the chats like to keep things light, superficial, on the surface. It's their right to go there if that's where they want to be. But deeps are a different breed. Deeps can't do that, don't want to do that. Deeps want to go deeply into things, deep intellectually, deep emotionally, or both. Here's the deal. So you have the right to be who you truly are, but most of you feel you had to be a chat to fit in with the chats because the world is dominated by chats. The world is dominated by chats, which is based on the premise that you don't have the right to be who you really are. The whole chat thing is based on that premise. You're not a misfit. You're not a weirdo. You fit in with the deeps, your own people. This goes beyond race. This goes beyond religion, ethnicity. You fit in with the deeps. That cuts across all racial lines, all religious lines, all ethnicities. If you're a deep, you fit in with the deeps. If you're a chat, you're not going to want to be around the deeps. It's going to be, what, this guy's a weirdo. Why is he saying these things? It's very socially inappropriate. Now, you need to know something about being who you truly are, and particularly if you're a deep. It's not normal to always have to chat. It's just not normal. You should be able to talk to anybody about life, death, how you're feeling, what you're really thinking. That is normal. It's normal to talk about what's real to you. It's not normal to have to chat all the time. That is not normal. There's something wrong in society and demands of society that have that. So if you're a deep, you're never going to fit into that. You're never going to fit in. You'll never fit in. And you don't even want to do that. A normal conversation would be to be able to talk what's really in your heart. That's normal. That's human. To have to chat all the time or 90% of the time, that's not human. It's not normal. We interviewed 1,800 people on the streets. Found that 70% of the people want to have more meaningful, deeper conversation. They just don't know how to do it. 70% want it. As a matter of fact, most people get agitated or bored within, if it's 5 or 10 minutes of chatting. They're actually nervous and agitated from that. People feel stuck in that. So let's review. You have the right to be who you really are. And you're not a misfit. If you're a deep, you're not a misfit. You're not a weirdo. You fit in with the other deeps, the tribe of deeps. You're never going to fit in with the chats. No one ever told you these two. Not knowing these things is very dangerous because you can feel very lonely. You say, wow, what's wrong with me? I can't fit in with anybody here. Not your co-religionists, not your people you work, because you're a deep. So the danger of it is you're feeling like a misfit or weirdo. Something's wrong with you. You're having these thoughts and your feelings because you're comparing your inside to the other person's outside. Outside, the person's always, laughing and chatting up, and you go, I don't feel that way. Inside, you might be depressed, anxious, worried about something. Now that brings us to point number 3. It's normal. It's normal to have to struggle and to suffer. It's also normal to be happy at times. But it's normal, I got to tell you this again, it's normal to suffer. It's normal to struggle. That is the human condition. If you are struggling, you're suffering because you have anxiety, depression, work stress, marital problems, relationship problems, that is normal. Now, I was younger. I didn't know that. Nobody told me. I said, I'm going through this. But everybody else looks like they're having a good time. They're not. They may be having a good moment here and there. They may be taking pictures and put it on social media. They're having a drink, sitting on a hammock in the Bahamas. That's not them. They're having a good moment. That'd be wonderful. I got to tell you, it's normal to suffer, to struggle. You know how people come to me with all kinds of things. My sobrino today was telling me he's going through this and that and the other thing with his sister and everything else. I said, that's normal. I mean, I had it with my family. I know other families like that. You feel, otherwise, you're going to feel very alone. You're going to feel you're the only one going through this thing, and you're not. You are a human being. You are a human being. And while you're on this planet alive, you're going to go through struggles and suffering and loss. And you're going to worry at times. Maybe times you can't pay your bills. Times you feel very treated unfairly at work, picked on, abused, harassed. You're going to get those feelings. Feel your significant other doesn't understand you and is judging you. These are normal things people go through. You're going to feel betrayed by this one and disappointed in that one and let down by this one. Welcome to the human race. Welcome. This is normal. Now, as people turn more to the teachings of honor, we go past these things. We can start rising up from it. But as Earth has been, this has always been going on. It's normal to have to struggle, to suffer, as well as having some joy and happiness in life. But it's certainly not all fun. It's not all fun. And that's the image you have. If I'm not having fun, something wrong with me. Well, give me a break. I'm 83. You can't fool me with that anymore. When I was your age, you could fool me. Oh, not now. Oh, no. Yeah. Now, we'll go to now number 4. We are all vulnerable. We are all vulnerable. People cover up their vulnerability with anger, aloofness. But what's underneath that? What's underneath that anger and that vulnerability? We're all vulnerable. What's underneath the anger and the aloofness? You feel hurt. You feel humiliated. You feel neglected, abandoned, overwhelmed, inferior. You feel jealous. You feel jealous. Somebody's talking to your significant other of the opposite sex. You go, what's going on? You felt jealous. You may go into anger as a cover-up. Underneath all negativity is vulnerability. Now, one of the laws of honor is, I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. That's doable when you understand that the vulnerability is there. And then the other dimension of that is, I hope to respond much more to my vulnerability than my negativity. So these things will get you away from blaming and lashing out and covering up and going to rages. So struggle and suffering are normal. You have the deeps and the chats. We're all vulnerable. Cover it. You have the right to be who you really are. 4 of them. If you don't know these things, you're going to suffer. You'll never achieve the self-control you need. You won't even know how to deal with yourself because you never really face that this is how you are. It's right in front of you that this is going on. You didn't want to see it. You felt that, well, if I can see my vulnerability, if I can see I feel humiliated, then I'm less than others because I shouldn't feel vulnerable. I'm too strong to be vulnerable. Hell, you're too strong for that. If you hide your tears, do you think that makes you strong? When you hide your tears, do you think that makes you strong? No, the tears were already the weakness. You already felt hurt. Hiding it. I'm not saying you should go out and crying all over the place, but don't think hiding it makes you strong. Oh, I got to be strong. Why? What? You're going to pretend nothing's going on. All right. Hey, there's a time sometime for covering up, but people make a lifestyle of it. Most people make a lifestyle of it. That's not strength. Strength is acknowledging, at least to yourself, hey, I feel hurt by this. You might say to somebody, somebody who doesn't want to admit it might say, hey, I want to be just real with you. I think you're ugly and stupid. I don't like you. I don't even want to see you again. Just being real, bro. That's the cover-up. That's the cover-up. Now, if you go respectfully, real communication, it goes like this. Hey, when you said what you did, I felt hurt. I felt humiliated. If you could find it in your heart to apologize, I'd be so grateful. Now, that's respectfully, right? Builds a bridge or a connection. So you have to know how to deal with that vulnerability. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting into these conflicts and alienating people, and you're going to create a lot of suffering for yourself. Oh, yes, you will. That's why I say, highly dangerous to not know these 5 facts. Now, for the 5th one, the 5th fact, you didn't know this. There are 2 types of thoughts. Yes, there are. There are 2 different types of thoughts that you have. There are the thoughts that pop into your mind but do not define who you are. There are thoughts that pop into your mind but do not define who you are. It's based on your genetics, family upbringing, and societal norms. It's not your fault you're getting those thoughts. You may have a fault. You want to hit somebody, strangle somebody, whatever. It's not your fault. But there's a second category of thoughts, the thoughts that you choose. I want to demonstrate how that works. Right now, have this thought 3 times. I wish you well. Have that thought 3 times. Now, I know you did that. I know you did it rapidly, naturally, easily. A 6-year-old could do it. That's a great power. So if you're getting that thought to hurt somebody or say something nasty, you can always say, balance it with this thought. Not fight the negative thought, but balance it with the thought, I wish you well. You're thinking that. So you're not feeding it, I wish you well. Now, in the short run, the negative is more powerful than that positive thought, but by always balancing it that way, you indirectly can control those automatic thoughts because they'll come less often, or less intensity, less duration. See, no one ever told you there are 2 types of thoughts. No one ever told you that. So these were that's why I say it's highly dangerous to not know these 5 facts. No one ever told you. No one ever told me. I had to go through a lot of suffering in my life, a lot of, not just observing others, but observing myself. And I started catching on to myself. Oh, I went through a lot of suffering because I didn't know this about myself. And my parents were good parents. They loved me. And I had good teachers at school. They never told me. They never told you. Not when I was in elementary school, high school, college, graduate school, courses that I take to renew my license. No one, and I mean no one, has ever told me these things. No one. You go, why? I mean, you're living with your thoughts 24/7 and you don't even know you have 2 different types of thoughts. One you can control. We don't tell our children that. Well, now you have the knowledge. The good thing is you now know. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourselves, and I'm going to open it up to any questions you want to ask or say. It's really important for your comments. The important comments are very important. Our wonderful audience that we have on the Zoom class, because people benefit a lot from your comments as much as, or even more than what I say, because it makes them feel less alone with their reality and makes them feel part of a wonderful community. So please feel free to speak, ask, or say whatever you like.
Can you hear me, Dr. Nerenberg?
I do hear you. Please announce your first name.
Nancy.
Nancy. Yes, Nancy. Good to see you. Very good to see you, Nancy.
Same here. I wanted to ask, with the deeps and the chat, I know they're not compatible, so do you think that chat, they're always talking, do you think they look for deeps so that they can have a listening ear?
You know,
is that something to be aware of?
They might want somebody to listen to them. That's a good point. But when a deep expresses their thoughts and their reality, it's pretty hard. I think for sounding board, that's one thing. But for a relationship ongoing, where they're going to be talking, a friendship, a deep is just weird of it. Wow, you're feeling hurt? Get over it, man. You feel hurt, humiliated by it? Please, you're just weak. Get over that. Get a spine, have a stiff upper lip. Come on, get real. Get over that stuff. It's all in your mind. Get over it. I mean, that's where they come from. That's where a chat will come from. So you might be able to, a deep might be able to have a deep listening, but you start talking about your reality. Oh no. You're hurting, you're suffering. You know what a chat will say? You have so much to be thankful for. Look at the abundance in your life. You don't have the right to be suffering. You have so much in your life. I mean, it's basically, that's the message. Something's really wrong with you that you're hurting given what you have. I mean, that idea, some crazy stuff will come out. Unnatural, abnormal reactions. But in the chat world, that's That's commonplace. Commonplace. Nancy, that's a wonderful, wonderful question. Any other comment or question you want to make, Nancy? Because you're a real deep.
Just that, number one really speaks to me. You have the right to be who you truly are. I feel like you're right. When you think about it, no one's ever told me that. And I feel like whenever I go somewhere, I make it a point to acclimate to that environment. So I'm not being my true self.
Now, deeps, so you sometimes you just have to do that. But it's very taxing. That's why people are going on their apps and stuff, because they don't want to deal with that. So let me do this. I don't have to do my fake smile. I can send this to you without doing my fake smile. That's why people are not, there's no human interaction. They want to do it this way. I don't have to do my fake smile with you. And I don't have to see yours either. People are wondering, why is everybody on their phone? That's why. I don't have to put up with your fakeness, and I don't have to get into my fakeness. Now, I want to ask you something. I want to be totally honest with me, Nancy. I said, these are 5 things no one ever told you. Now, is that true? Did anyone ever tell you any of those 5 things?
No.
There you have it. Now, is that amazing that these very fundamental aspects of life that no one ever told you, is that amazing?
It is amazing, because I feel like I would have probably saved a lot of relationships, like friendship relationships, if I would have known that, especially with number 4. Like how you demonstrated that example.
What's number 4 again?
Math. Just being vulnerable versus...
Oh, yeah. We're vulnerable. Can you imagine educated, intelligent people not telling you that? It's shocking. Shocking. Well, I'm so thrilled and happy that I could tell it to you. And it's my great privilege to tell you. Thank you so much, Nancy. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
I do, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Kathy.
Kathy, good to see you, Kathy.
Hi, nice to see you. In different situations in life, could you be both a deep and a chat, depending on who you're with?
Well, a lot of deeps have to go into chatting, but most deeps can't keep it up too long. But you chat, you just figure, well, our society is so pathological that's considered inappropriate to express your reality. Hey, I'm feeling this way. I'm thinking about that. A world where it's inappropriate to be human, that's a serious problem. Yeah, a lot of deeps, all of us have had to do chatting. Oh, that's how we get by. Now, I've learned how to structure my life so I don't have to do that, because I get to be with all of you wonderful, beautiful human beings. Well, you tell me what's going on. People say, you don't want to retire? I say, no, where am I going to meet these kinds of people who are going to talk to me? What I do as a therapist, you think, oh, he's a psychologist. He learned that in school. Heck no. To me, when I talk with you, when I talk with my patients, people call my patients, I call you my people. That's a normal conversation. That is a normal conversation to me. And these other things, if I had met you beautiful, wonderful people at a party where just chat, I'd have to leave the room. I literally found I'm not going to push at 83, I'm not going to push myself to do it anymore. I just, I did when I was younger. I just thought, wow, this is what I have to do. But no, time is too precious. Too precious. Sometimes in your family or whatever, you get together gatherings, people are doing that. But I always like to find somebody I can really talk to and just talk to that person at a deeper level. Better yet, I don't even go to those things anymore. I don't even be around. I get invited all the time to a Christmas party or this and that. We don't go to parties. No. But yeah, deeps have to do the chatting. If you don't want to have the judgment of weirdo, yeah. Exactly, Kathy. Good point. Anything else you want to ask, Kathy, or say?
No, that's it.
Now I want to ask you a question, Kathy. So
yes.
I claim that no one ever told you these 5 points. Am I right or wrong? Did anybody ever tell you any of those points?
You are correct.
No one ever told you?
No one has ever told me that.
Now,
no one.
What do you make out of it that no one ever told you these 5 facts that's dangerous not to know? What do you make out of that?
I think people don't know. Seriously, I think people don't know. And
here's the thing, Kathy. There are people, I'm very well educated, but there are people more educated than me, brighter than me. And they didn't know. What do you make of it? How come they don't know?
yeah.
What's the explanation?
They were never taught or told.
Nobody taught me or told me. You could say the Holy Spirit delivered it. Actually, the way I figured out was I suffered so doggone much. I figured, what's going on? I couldn't make sense of it. Then I didn't really know what I was doing until I was 70 because all the stuff seemed, I couldn't make sense. Now at 83, I have a pretty good grasp of it, and I can speak with a lot of authority, and you can't fool me anymore. But I'm 83, so I'm trying to help you younger people get onto it earlier.
Or people might know bits and pieces of it. Like you have the right to be who you are, but they might not know the other 4.
They might have the right to be who you are, but they don't understand that with a qualification. If you're going to be some real jerk to people, we don't want you to be who you are. Just hide it.
Yeah.
As long as the expression of your true self is done in a respectfully real manner. Not a real manner. Oh, no. Respectfully real manner. That caveat took me a long time to add to this. Expressed in a respectfully real manner. That's the way of honor. Respectfully real communication is the way of communication in the honor movement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else have something you'd want to say or ask? Please do.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Grace Ledesma.
Oh, Grace. Yeah,
Love
so you're there
you.
with Mario?
Yes.
Hey, Mario. Yeah.
How are you?
I want to hear you doing that singing soon, Mario.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the mariachi. I want to hear that mariachi.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
Grace,
my
yeah,
gosh.
what comment or question you want to make?
Actually, Doctor, I'm kind of making some notes. I was not able, we're having a hard time getting through. Number 2, what exactly is number 2, Doctor?
I don't remember because I mixed the orders up. I mean, you know what? Maybe, maybe it was deeps and chats. Was that it? I'll tell you what the 5 are. Well, deeps and chats. Okay. You have 2 tribes, 2 basic types, people in society. Okay. The deeps who like to talk deeply, and the chats. Now, the tribe of deeps really has 2 types. You have the types that go deep intellectually, then you have the type that go deep emotionally, and then you have the deep. So there's really 3 tribes within that tribe. Now, with the chats, you have the chats, but then you have what I call the chat deeps, the chats who are really deep, trapped in a chat situation. They want to go deep, they don't know how. So you have 2 breakups, and those 2 tribes are separated into sub-tribes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then number 1, which is that you have the right to be who you truly are, that's the beginning of the rest of the other 4.
Yes, that's the foundation of everything. You have that right. If you don't know you have that right, you feel you got to be somebody else. If you don't know you have the right to be you, then you think you have to be somebody else. You have to be that famous boxer. You have to be that actress. You have to be that actor. You have to be like the president of the United States. You have to be whomever. You have to be whomever. And if you're not going to be you, you don't have a right to be you. Who do you have a right to be? Well, the idea is you don't have to be you, but you have the right to be him. Wow, how bizarre is that? You don't have the right to be you, but you have the right to be him. You have the right to be her. Is that nuts? Does that make sense?
Nuts. And excuse me, Doctor, that even happens within family. Let's say if you have your immediate siblings, you can say, well, you're not like your sister, or you're not. I'm not sure if I'm making
no,
myself...
families, no exception to this, no exception. I want to ask you something, Grace. You're a very deep person. I've known you a long time. I said to you that these are highly dangerous to not know these 5 facts, and no one ever told you. Did anyone ever tell you any of these 5 facts? Yes or no? Truthfully.
No.
No!
No.
Grace, would you agree it's dangerous not to know these things?
Very dangerous.
There you go. No. Aren't there many brilliant, intelligent, creative people in this world? Many thousands of them? Aren't there many of them?
Mm-hmm.
How come nobody told you? How come it's coming from me? I ended up being the spokesperson of this. One reason I've suffered tremendously. The reason I knew how dangerous it was, I saw it was wiping me out all my life. That's how I said, oh, okay. Then I started catching up with my patients, my people telling me, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it as bizarre to you as it is to me that no one ever told us these things?
It is.
I mean, somebody might teach you how to change a tire.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might teach you how to make a burrito. But they didn't tell you these things about yourself. Yeah, you're making a burrito in the kitchen, but you're walking around all the time being you with your thoughts, and no one told you how to deal with your thoughts. No one ever told you how to make a good thought. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's how you make a good thought. Nobody ever told you.
Mm-hmm.
But here's how you make a burrito. Here's how you change a tire. Here's how you put drywall on the walls. Here's how you solve this math problem. It's all good knowledge. I'm not putting down that knowledge. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the basics. These are the basics. So you have this knowledge. It's your job to pass this on to your loved ones at least.
Yes, definitely.
I'm so glad you spoke up, Grace, and we're having this conversation.
Thank you, Doctor. It's always a pleasure with talking to you.
A pleasure for me to talk with you and Mario, both of you.
Yes.
Grace, you never told me he does mariachi. You didn't tell me that.
Oh my gosh. That important. Actually, I try to hide.
No, he showed me a little video. It looked pretty good.
On his birthday, I go, anything you want, Mario, except your singing.
Oh my goodness! No. I told him to come over here sometime and sing for me. He said he would like to do that. I said, please come over. Okay. Anybody else? Now, I'd like to hear. Anybody else want to say anything? Ask a question. It's my pleasure to address you on this topic.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. It's Emily.
Emily, wow, you're here, Emily. Good.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think a lot of them are connected. Like being a deep takes vulnerability. And I think that a lot of chats like try to kind of see that as, that deeps are more heavy, like they bring a heavy energy because they talk about deeper things. And
yeah, they'll say lighten up. They lighten up.
Yeah. It's kind of like they try to make it like, because socially more people are chats.
Oh, no,
and
the chats rule the world.
Yeah, and I do feel that there are people who are, more deep, who act as chats to feel socially acceptable because they don't feel safe to be vulnerable.
I call them the chadeeps. They're the chadeeps.
Yeah, so when like you yourself are deep and you show vulnerability, it helps others to, bring out that deepness. And for me, I'm the opposite. As the first person who spoke, I always keep who I am, and I notice how people will kind of get like uncomfortable sometimes because I will tend to just bring up things that they would consider quote unquote like deep or personal.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, Emily. Firstly, I respect you. That's amazing. A lot of people they may feel it's going to create a problem to be who they are right then. So they feel like I'm just going to have to chat. And it makes sense. I understand it. Mm-hmm. But some people can't do that. You see, I literally can't do it. So I have to be deep because that's my nature. I try to fit into that. I failed at it. So, but some people can do it. They can. Believe me, if I could have been a chat in situations, I would have done it. I just couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. So you're a deep, authentic person, And maybe you can't do the chat very much either, like me.
I can't much, and if I try, I'm very disinterested, very quickly, and I just feel like I can't connect to that person. And I feel like with the vulnerability thing, I express, especially like to men who I've dated, like I need to be able to feel vulnerable. I want somebody to feel vulnerable because that's how connection really happens. And I tend to see that, a lot of men of my generation, I'm 42, and they kind of try to mask, but you could tell they want to be deeper a lot of times, but they're still at a stage of not feeling comfortable, I guess.
Well, you're right. That people want to be known, but also there's a fear if you really know me, you're not going to like me because I've got all this stuff going on. And here's the other point about what you're saying. If you don't know a person's vulnerability and their struggle, if you don't know a person's struggle, you can't know that person. Say somebody sets a world record on a bench press. The achievement is not as important as what did the person have to overcome to do it. So the person may have to overcome, gee, I'm just a little guy from Brooklyn. I'm really not up to this. I feel, doesn't have a good self-concept about their strengths. So they have to overcome this, or they had to overcome the fact that their right arm was damaged, and they had to build it up, and they just feel it. They had to overcome so many obstacles. So it's really the greatness of a person is measured not on what they achieve, but more on what they had to overcome to achieve it. Well, you don't know a person. If you don't know a person's struggle, you don't know that person. And people don't share their struggles. It's socially inappropriate. How ridiculous, how inhuman for it to be socially inappropriate to not be able to share your struggle. Say, I'm struggling with this, but I found out a way where you can reveal struggle and maintain your dignity. I'm struggling with this, really, I'm going through this, X, Y, and Z. But you know what? I hope to come back much stronger than ever. That's where the dignity is maintained. If you just talk about the struggle, it's like, oh, you're pathetic. You're struggling. It's pathetic. But I hope to come back much stronger than ever. If you don't know a person's struggle, you cannot know that person. You just read the facts. The person did X, Y, Z, then 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't know that person. If you know they struggled with feeling inferior, they used to get very jealous, they had a lot of anger, but they overcame their anger, well, then you're getting to know the person. So people don't know each other because they don't know each other's struggle. Every time you see the guy, he says, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I just see that we at the, the game, he saw what happened there and the game the other day. Well, that's okay. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. I'm just saying if that's all you get to see, you figure, that's all good, but I'm going through this. I'm having a problem in a relationship. I'm not paying my bills, and I got to meet you. And in that conversation, it's hard to push myself out to utter those words. Yeah, it was a great game. And meantime, you're dying inside, and you got to push that out. Well, that's not human. That's just not human. It's not human. That's not a social structure that's suited for human beings. That's certainly suited for machines, robots. I mean, they could be whatever, but that's not a human situation. I'm making a judgment about our society when I'm saying that, and I'm saying it's pathological. And people can get pretty defensive about that. I've had people get pretty angry at me because they feel like I'm putting them down. Take a look, bro. This is not a human situation. And I'm not saying you got to always be talking about everything in your thought, in your mind, and in your feelings, but you have to at least have that option. So go ahead, Emily. Go ahead. Please continue.
That's like I love the back and forth and just making my mind work more. I have never been told that, but I've always felt it was my God-given right to be who I am because I feel connected to like a higher power when I am living in my truth and being who I am. And wow. That is a deep person. And I feel like it helps other people. Like I have connected with a lot of people in different settings, like workplace settings, who will tell me personal things and I feel like I could be of support to them. And I really like to do that.
Well, you know what? You're basically, by manifesting who you are, you're inviting others to be who they are. By the way, the honor movement itself is really a gathering of the deeps. I'm gathering the deeps together. It's wonderful. You share your vulnerability, your struggle. The other person feels they can do that. Some people recoil back because they don't want to share it. They feel vulnerable. They may be afraid you're going to use it against them, whatever their fears are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be known. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I've only known you for 10 years. I don't really know you. I mean, I've been talking. That could be a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had that happen once. I remember one person said, well, never talk deeply to my mother. We don't want to do that. Well, I knew the family for 9 years, and one day I had a deep conversation, and she went right to it. We had a great conversation. But she told me, don't ever talk deeply with her. Well, and I knew her 9 years before we could really talk to each other. It wasn't even necessary because she didn't open that depth with her daughter, but she had that in her. Now, these things you're saying, and the other thing about struggle is I came to this realization one day, enshrined within your deepest struggle, enshrined within your deepest struggle is the seed of your nobility, your dignity, and your legacy. Enshrined within your deepest struggle is the seed of your nobility, your dignity, and your legacy. That's where the treasure is, in the struggle. That's what's taking you to another level. You know, I don't know Spanish. I wish I did. I love the language. I love the people. But here, I'll say it in Spanish. Nobody hardly knows what I'm saying. My Spanish is so bad. But I'm going to try. Dios te ahorca, pero no te mata. God chokes you, but not to kill you. That's how we wake up, and we seek God. We move forward in life from that choking. The suffering, one way of thinking of the suffering is as a gift for us to move closer to our higher nature, to God, to our highest values. Please, Emily, yes, what you're saying is so beautiful, so right on.
Thank you. When you talk about the struggle, I am like a sensitive person, you know, so it is hard at times. And I feel like deeps do tend to struggle a little bit more. Or maybe the chats are just better at hiding it, or I don't know.
Better at hiding
exactly
it. Better at hiding it.
Huh?
Better at hiding it.
Better at hiding it, yeah, and like pushing it down or taking it out in other ways rather than actually addressing what it is. You know, I don't know. And yeah, when you are vulnerable and can say your struggles or where you messed up and different things like that, like I try to do that also, and I've tried to do that in the workplace, and I see other people who don't, and I see it's from insecurities or fear or like scarcity mindset or just all these negative places that it comes from, and it like they project stuff, and it's just, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Emily. You have a big advantage. You're a woman. You're a woman. A woman has more permission to be vulnerable and have these things going on than a man does.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I have more permission to be myself than most because I'm 83. When I was your age, I didn't have that permission. It was tough. Get to an age where people say, old guy, he can be himself. So that's one thing. I want to ask you a very important question, Emily. I claim that no one ever told you these 5 truths, but I want you to be honest with me. Has anyone ever told you these 5 truths or not?
The deeps in the chats, no. I feel like I have been told I could be myself, but not that I have a right to be.
No, but no one ever told. Did anyone ever tell you?
No.
Okay, that's what I mean. You understand you have these rights. But did anyone ever tell you the 2 types of thoughts?
No.
Okay. Did anyone ever tell you that to suffer and struggle are normal?
No.
Did anybody ever tell you that people are really vulnerable under their aloofness, under their anger, that they're really vulnerable? Did anybody ever tell you that?
No.
So that's my point. Now, here's a question. I've asked everybody this question. There's such brilliant people in this world. Brilliant. How come none of them ever told any of us in their TV shows and the TED Talks and the books? How come nobody ever told us this? Why is that?
I'm not sure.
I'm thrilled that I'm able to do this for us.
Yeah.
But what amazes me that nobody, and I've been around brilliant professors. I mean, I've been to the top schools. I was at Columbia University in the psychology department, University of Texas. Top schools. Nobody mentioned any of this. Nobody.
I think it's something that should be taught very early on.
Should be taught from,
kids.
5 years on and going.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Once I caught on to what was going on and started feeling a sense of freedom and relief and then helping my people with it, my next thing was shocked that no one's ever told us anything. I don't know. Are you as shocked as I am now that you're hearing it that nobody ever told you any of this? Truthfully.
Honestly, I'm not shocked because of how society is, but it is shocking when, this could help people feel more comfortable to be who they truly are.
Emily, forget about this society. I don't think anybody in Africa, the Middle East, China, in any century has ever said it. I've read books. I've read history. I've read philosophy, the ancient philosophy. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, over the centuries and over the continents, nobody's saying it. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious. These things are so obvious. When I'm saying it to you, nobody's going to disagree. Yeah, nobody disagrees. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I don't think there's anything that could be logically disagreed with. It's completely.
No. It's
like, I think it would be so helpful for so many people to know that.
I think you'll be teaching this. You'll be teaching it. You're strong.
Definitely a lot of way.
You'll be teaching it. And you're going to have a copy of this video. You can spread the video. You can spread the video out. Just give it to the people.
Thank you, Dr. Nerenberg.
Well, thank you, Emily. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. You are too. Thank you.
Well, it's been my pleasure to present Highly Dangerous to Not Know These 5 Facts No One Ever Told You.